In studio for a little bit is Mr. John Kay with Louisiana's Pelican Institute. Think tank is not the official term. What is it? I look at it all the time when we have Daniel on. Earth bomber.
Yeah. So we work on conservative leaning, right? I think think tank's probably actually a good way to put it.
Think tank. I want to work for one. I think I pitched myself to Daniel and he started laughing.
Well, send me your resume. We'll see what we can do.
Okay. Yeah. You guys are working on a plan as lawmakers get together beginning next week for emergency declarations, etc.
Right.
What is your goal? What's the end game?
The idea here is that this much power shouldn't be vested in a single individual, regardless of who it is, regardless of what party holds the governor's mansion. That you shouldn't have one person who can call an emergency declaration and extend it in perpetuity without any sort of oversight from another governmental body. So the proposal is simple. It's that the governor will still have the ability to call a public health emergency, but only for 30 days. And after that 30 days, if he wants to renew that public health emergency, he has to seek input and approval from the legislature. It's a checks and balances approach to something that most people didn't think about before COVID-19 hit. I didn't spend much time thinking about how we would respond to a pandemic. I thought that was something that lived decades and 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about pandemics in 2020. But this is an approach that provides checks and balances and provides some safeguards for the people of Louisiana.
The whole legislature would have to approve, not a committee of some sort?
Yeah, the idea is that the legislature would approve. There's a mechanism where they can vote remotely. They don't have to be in person to do it. They could be in person, but the legislature would approve after 30 days and continue to renew.
What was originally the CBAW petition, which was sort of... correct me if my assumption is wrong, sort of shot down by Speaker of the House Clay Snyder. That, as we approach a special session next week, is starting to crop up again, that idea to overrule by a 50% plus one vote of either of the legislative houses. Is that back on the table? Is anybody thinking about bringing that up again, and does it have a chance, or where does that stand?
I've heard of a few different proposals that are floating out there that are, whether it's Representative Seaball, I think Representative Bacala has an idea.
There was a 14-day sort of let's try it out for 14 days and see how it works, which to me seemed kind of silly. Do it or don't do it. But I'm sorry, finish your thought.
I think it's a result of legislators across the state. They're back home. They're in their communities. They're talking to the people the business owners in the communities, entrepreneurs, the individuals who live there, and they're ready to get back to work. They're ready to have a functioning economy. They're tired of not knowing what the future holds, and they're feeling a lot of pressure. And I think this is the result of that.
We had Attorney General Jeff Landry on maybe 6 weeks ago, a month to 6 weeks, I don't know. And he said in a single sentence, one of the most insightful and pointed things I'd heard about all of this: how long can we live in crisis? And there are politicians who would say in perpetuity. There are politicians who will say that the object is to protect everyone all the time. I have made the point, and I'd like your opinion on this, is that you see all the time social media hell everywhere that COVID-19 will disappear once the election is over. And I've made the point, no, there's lots of politicians, not only in this state, but more specifically across the country. Whitmer in Michigan, Evers in Wisconsin, the list goes on and on. Newsom in California, who have this newfound power over people's lives. They get to mandate the minutia of everybody's literal existence. And I don't think they're going to give that up that easy.
It's a concept as old as mankind that power corrupts. And when you put this large amount of power, this is across the country, in the hands of a single individual, it's a lot of pressure, but it's also the power that they have over an individual business. You saw it just yesterday in New Orleans with Mayor Cantrell shutting down
The Irish pub
over a photo that was on Facebook
of people having a good time,
Right.
but following all the rules.
There needs to be a check on all that much power that's put into an individual's hands, and the best way to do it, in our opinion, is to send it back to the legislature, to allow the people who are closest to the individuals and business owners across the state, across the country, to be able to have a say in that process, rather than just being able to go in and roll back an emergency declaration. Let's let them have some input into how it's crafted.
Yesterday in our news, folks heard the governor say, because there's another proposal is to set up a committee that would get together. And the governor said, I'm quoting, you cannot manage a public health crisis by committee. You disagree?
I do disagree. I do think that the legislative approach is the superior approach in this instance, but I think that the more people who have a say in this and have the ability to weigh in and override someone who maybe goes too far in one of these declarations is a good thing for Louisiana. It's a good thing in any state. There are other states that do this. Wisconsin does it. Other states have this provision in place, and I think it's going to be something that's talked about probably in just about every state as we move forward, because I don't think that we saw this coming. I don't think that we knew that this would be something that would ever happen to us. So I think it's a healthy conversation that we're having, and I think that it's healthy that we don't put that much power in the hands of one person, in the hands of a mayor, in the hands of a governor, in the hands of this governor, and in the hands of the next governor. Mm-hmm. This isn't about one person individually. This is about good government. This is about checks and balances, which is the way that we should seek to run our state.